Okay, so these say find the volume of the square pyramid given the slant height. The slant height isn't directly applicable to the volume like it is to the surface area. In surface area, we need the slant height. In volume, we don't need the slant height. What we need is this altitude that I'm going to use my laser pointer to point out right here. Yeah, we need that. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that in a color, let's say in this pink. This is the thing that we're trying to find. Okay, well, what do we have? What do we got? Well, we've got the slant height here in blue. Right, the slant I'm putting here in blue. And we know this in green down here, this from the side to the, well, it's essentially it's the apothem, right? The center to the perpendicular to that side. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to sketch this out right down here below. Okay, that's the altitude. This is the slant height, and this is half of what the side length is. You can see that this side length is 10, but we're not going from side to side. We're going from the center to the side, which is exactly half of that. So we've got here then a 5, and then we've got here a 12, and then we've got here, let's call it x. We don't know what it is yet, but we're going to solve for it. Okay. Once we solve for it, I'll erase all the marks and we'll just do the rest of the math for this. But how do we do this? Well, if in your mind you say, oh, this is the 5, 12, 13 right triangle, and it is a right triangle, that little mark down there, okay? But nope. Hopefully you can see why this is not the 5, 12, 13. In the 5, 12, 13, the longest side, 13, always has to be the hypotenuse, but we've already been told that that's equal to 12. So this has to be shorter than that. So it can't be 13. And in fact, you run the mistake if you write this 5 squared plus 12 squared equals x squared. The mistake there is that you're not using everything in the proper place because the hypotenuse has to be on the right hand side of the equal sign. So let's get rid of those 2 marks, put them in the right place. Okay, we've got 5 squared plus x squared equals 12 squared. Yeah, so we've got then 25 plus x squared equals 144. And if we then subtract 25 from both sides, I'm running out of room, but what we get is x squared equals 119. Okay? And of course, then what's the square root of both sides? We get then x is equal to the square root of 119. And this might be something that you are tempted right now to make it a decimal number and round it off. But I'm going to urge you not to do this. Don't round this off. We want to keep it exact because we're going to eventually multiply it by other numbers, and then that amount that you rounded it by could become a significantly larger amount and throw your calculations off. So we're going to keep that height as square root of 119. I'm going to erase all these marks and label it, and then okay. So we've got then a height of square root of 119. So our calculations can then be the area equals 1/3 of length times width, which is 10 times 10, times the height, which is the square root of 119. Okay, and let's type that in the calculator, see what we get. line, what we get is area is approximately equal to 363.62. Remember, I'm showing you how to round in case it's been a long time since you've rounded. We are rounding to the tens place. That's what it says up top. So I'm underlining the tens place and looking one further to the hundredths place. And I say, is that hundredths place, is this number we just put an arrow to, is that a 5 or higher? No, it's not. It's not a 5 or higher. So we don't change the 6 into a 7. We keep it as a 6, approximately equal to 363.2 meters cubed. And it's meters cubed because the units are cubed units when we're doing volume. Okay, so let's look at these again. Same thing over here, which is that we're looking for this elevation here, right? That height to the center. And if we've got a length over here, and we've got this apothem length, okay, then we can redraw that triangle here as like this, this, and that. And we know we've got a right angle here. And if this apothem length is 24, and this bottom side length is half of 23, which is 11.5, then what we've got is we've got x squared plus 11.5 squared equals 24 squared. Or x squared, if we subtracted 11.5 squared from both sides, equals 24 squared, 11.5 squared. Okay, so then if I type that in the calculator, let's see, we've got 24 squared minus 11.5 squared equals 443.75. So x equals the square root of 443.75. Okay, and we're going to use that as that height. That'll be the exact height that'll work out nice and neatly for us. So I'm going to erase these marks and we'll. The area equals 1/3 of base time, I'm sorry, not base, but length times width times the height and when I type that in the calculator, I get, let's see, area is approximately equal to 3,714.52 approximately, and we're rounding to here. Is this 5 or higher? No, it's not. So it'll round to, the area is approximately equal to 3,714.5 millimeters cubed. Okay, and got one more of these to do, and we can see right here, if I sketch this thing out again, we'll do this one more time. I know this takes a little bit of time, but it's the knowing how to do it that's the important part. Okay, so we've got this height right here that we're looking for, and we've got this side length, which is half that apothem there. That runs from the center to the edge. It's going to be half of the side length, or 5.5. And then, of course, we've got the slant height that they gave us. So if we sketch that out, we've got this, this, and this. That's a right angle. And so we don't know what that is, but we know that this is 5.5, and we know that this is 15. So I'm going to write it out. Hopefully you know the shorthand way to do it now. You can see how um, if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then c squared, or I should say a squared, equals c squared, 15 squared, minus b squared, 5.5 squared. Okay, so then x squared equals, I'm going to type this into my calculator to see what I get, and I get 194.75. So then x is equal to the square root of that, and we're going to keep that in it as an exact answer for now. I can write it in there. Let's see how to do that a little better. Is equal to the square root of 194.75. Sorry, my pen is acting a little bit funny right at this moment. Okay, square root of all of that. So let's get rid of this work and let's do the rest of the calculations, and then we'll be done with these problems. The basic idea is, that's a little different on these, is just finding the height using the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so let's write it out and say, okay, then we've got the area is equal to 1/3 of the length, 11, times the width, 11, times the height, which is the square root of 194.75. Okay, sorry for cramming it in like that, but if we type it out on the calculator, we say then that's approximately equal to what? So that times that times that, that, and I calculated 562.86, and as I've been saying, we want to round, so we are rounding to the 10th place because they said round to the 10th place. So we look here, is that 5 or higher? Yes, it is. It's 5 or higher. It's a 6. So therefore, we've got the area. Oops, the area is approximately equal to 562.9 feet cubed. And I'm going to box this answer. I'll box the last one as well because I didn't do that. Oops. And that's how you do it.